Okay, well, let's get started. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We're really excited to have you here at Luxon's NetSuite demonstration for food and beverage brands. My name is Brooke Geipus, and I'm the Director of Marketing here at Luxon, and I will be moderating today's session. I'm joined by Scott Nelson, our Chief Solution Engineer and Director of NetSuite Delivery. Scott leads our NetSuite implementations at Luxon and works closely with a lot of food and beverage brands on everything from inventory and manufacturing to financial reporting and scalability. And we're also joined by Katrina Sandgren, our sales director here at Luxon. She's going to be walking us through NetSuite pricing and packaging later in the session, and she will kind of help connect what you're seeing in the demo to what kind of a real world budget could look like for that. So today is really about showing you guys a glimpse of how NetSuite works for food and beverage companies and kind of what it looks like on a day-to-day, how it can support your growth, and where it can really simplify the operations that you guys have as you are growing and scaling. Move through here. So before we dive in, I just want to quickly walk through what we're going to be covering today. We're going to start with a brief introduction to Luxon, who we are, why we focus so heavily in food and beverage. Then we'll kind of talk through what we like to call the recipe for success with NetSuite. So some key considerations we see consistently across growing food and beverage companies. And then from there, Scott will lead a live NetSuite demonstration showing how the system works in practice, highlighting functionality that matters most for food and beverage brands and kind of how they operate. After the demo, Katrina will walk us through pricing and packaging so you have a really good understanding of how NetSuite is structured from a cost perspective. And then finally, we'll wrap up with next steps and kind of what typically comes after this session and how you guys can get started on your NetSuite journey. So before we really jump into things here, I wanted to point out that you can always put your questions into the Q&A panel at the bottom of your screen. So if you have any questions as we move throughout the webinar, please put them in the panel down there and we will do our best to answer them as you guys pop them in or at the end of the session here today. With that, I first just wanted to talk a little bit about who Luxon is. So we're a premier NetSuite solution partner. We were founded in 2009 and we're based in Southern California. Our focus is really working with growing companies, and we have a deep experience across manufacturing and distribution, including food and beverage. So our team is made up of really great senior level consultants with a really strong NetSuite industry backgrounds, and we support the full life cycle of NetSuite ERP. So that's from the selection, the purchase, the implementation, integrations, development, and any sort of ongoing support. So we really partner with different brands throughout their entire NetSuite journey. Because of that experience, we're really able to bring practical insight into how NetSuite fits into a broader kind of tech stack and how companies use it day to day as their operations become more complex. So we've spent over 15 years working specifically with food and beverage brands, which has allowed us to build a really deep industry expertise and proven best practices. So we're recognized by NetSuite as one of their leading food and beverage partners, not just for knowing the software of NetSuite, but for really understanding how food and beverage companies operate on a day-to-day basis. And we bring pre-built solutions and playbooks that we've built over the years by working with so many food and beverage brands that are specifically designed for food and beverage. And that kind of best practice helps reduce any sort of customizations and lowers risk and accelerates your time to go live when you guys purchase NetSuite. So most importantly, we act as a long-term partner with brands as they enter into their NetSuite journey. So we are really focused on supporting growth well beyond just implementation. We really want to partner with you on your entire journey with NetSuite. But don't just take our word for it. Here's a small snapshot of some of the food and beverage brands that you might recognize that we support and partner with. So you might see some names that you recognize there and see that if you join the next NetSuite group here, you're in good company. All right, with that, I'm going to pass it over to you, Scott, to get to some of the good stuff.
Fantastic. Thank you. So just a little bit about NetSuite. NetSuite is fast growing ERP still to this day. The growth year over year actually just had a record quarter. 43,000 customers nationwide, 6,000 new logos in the last 12 months. And it continues to grow year over year over year. We can go ahead. So NetSuite is designed to grow with you as a company. We call this the stairway to success. It is a scalable software to allow companies to come in and use as much or as little of functionality as both budget and time allow. So we start with the foundation of financials, CRM, possibly inventory, planning and production management, and then we can expand from there into warehouse management, procurement, MRP, um, WMS, handheld devices, EDI, integrations. We grow as you grow. That's very important to Luxent as a company to be able to support you as your company builds and grows and to allow you to scale within a software rather than being stuck with a build that limits that growth opportunity for you. At Luxent and with NetSuite, it's really built out for the food and beverage industry. Everything from lot traceability, FIFO solutions, so first expiration, first out within your lots, outsource manufacturing, and we're going to talk a little bit about this when I jump into the system and show you the system. Uh, Making that outsource manufacturing process easy if you're not doing in-house manufacturing. Multi-channel sales, we integrations to e-commerce platforms, Amazon, distribution companies, your 3PLs. At Luxent, we've built integrations to a number of large 3PLs. There's a list of some of them there. But also order compliance, whether that's FDA requirements, USDA requirements. We have mechanisms in place, both that we've built and that can be tailored to you, that can track what those compliance reasons are and stop orders or allow orders to pass based on those requirements. So I'm going to jump in and do a little bit of a demo. I'll share my screen here in a second. Just a few things that I'm going to cover. NetSuite's very modular, like I said, but it's also role-based. Users log in with their email address, and what role they're assigned tells the system what they're allowed to do, what they're capable of seeing, what they're capable of interacting with, and I'll show a little bit about what that looks like in NetSuite. From there, we're going to do a little bit of an outsourced manufacturing demo. So I'll show you how NetSuite makes those transactions easier. It's, it can be complex with other softwares where I'm having to track a PO in one place, a work order. How do I maintain what inventory my outsourced manufacturer is looking at and seeing and reporting back to me? NetSuite eases that a little bit. So I'm going to walk you through that a little bit. And then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about NetSuite's financial reporting and how that makes sense for the accountants, the CFOs, and makes it easy for you to slice information based off of sales, off of my financial reports amongst a million different segments, and how I can customize those to my business. So I'm going to just jump in here. I'll start sharing my screen and we'll go through this. So everybody should be able to see my screen. This is me logged in as administrator into my environment. So you're going to see kind of a boring dashboard, not a lot to it, a lot of options up here. I can see and do basically anything within the system as an administrator. Kind of the world is my oyster here. But as I come in and I change to a different role, say an accountant role, you're going to see a much more dynamic dashboard. NetSuite does come with pre-populated dashboards for a number of different roles based on the type of services that you're doing and the industry that you're in. So this is my accountant dashboard. Now I start seeing things like KPIs, live tracking of where I'm at receivables wise, today versus the same day last month, payables during the same time period, sales. I can see my bank balances. Up here, I can start drilling into a little bit more detail on a couple of individual ones. So I can see these in meters. I have my reminders to let me know as an accountant role. I have purchase orders that I still need to bill, some vendor credits I need to apply, new customers. So I'm informed of what new customers are signing up and we're doing business with, some overdue bills that need to be paid, and some invoices overdue. I can take a look at my AR aging and see what buckets things are in. And the nice thing about all of this is with the simple click of the button here, I'm going to drill into this information and it'll bring me right into the detail behind those numbers. So I can actually see, here's my AR aging summary making up that number that sits on my dashboard. So really easy to maneuver around and see. Very quick and easy and responsive for me to find that information and um, drill in and see the detail behind it. Now, if I jump over to a production manager role, you're going to see my dashboard options are all going to change significantly. Now I'm looking at much more production heavy things within my system. So now I'm looking at my inventory moves. My orders are up a lot. My work orders are up a ton this month. Most of this being we're building some information out here. I can see the value of these and what's being released this month. I see my total orders to fulfill. Again, I can click on this and drill into it, and it'll actually bring me to that list of all of my orders waiting for my fulfillment. So now I can actually see the individual orders now and filter this however I want. So I can say, show me, what's going to be fulfilled from an individual location. What's going to be, if I want to look at certain items, I can build a filter for that. If I want to look at certain customers, I can do that. The other thing about these lists here is a lot of these I can actually click on the field name and order these by whatever I want. So if I want to order these by customer, I just click on the field name and that sorts this by customer versus by date. I can go back here and click on the date and reverse or sort this by either the beginning at the top or the end at the top. I can bulk fulfill. So if I check these boxes, I can fulfill these orders in bulk, or I can drill into an individual order and fulfill at an individual order by order. As a CFO, I might want much more summary information at my fingertips, more executive level information. So now I'm looking at a much more executive level summary on these. It's still very graphic heavy, so I can kind of track within a date range of where I was in different places. For my monthly sales, as I scroll across, you'll see in each individual month where that moves in the meter. My expenses are down this month. My sales are also down. So that might be something I want to drill into and take a look at. I also have these nice tiles here up at the top that'll take me to individual reports. So if I want to see my profit and loss, I have that nice little tile up there and I can drill into here. We'll jump back into this financial reporting here at the end of my demo. But that's a nice little feature here that I can jump right into. All right. Now, as I said, you'll notice these headers up here are also changing as I change roles, and that's because each of these roles has different permissions. Within my administrator profile, I can actually control what's in these roles and what level of access they have to different information. So I'm going to go into my accountant role, telling the system which subsidiary they have access to. I can limit people to certain departments, certain locations, certain subsidiaries, whatever I need to limit them to. Sales roles, often I can actually even limit to those sales reps to only see customers that they're assigned to, sales managers maybe to just see their sales teams so that they're not kind of bogged down by the noise of the entire system. Within each one of these, you'll see I have different levels of permission. So I just click on this. I have full level edit level, create, and view. If I don't have this permission in at all, they actually won't even have access to that record. So this is all based on permissions levels, and that's what drives what I'm able to see and do within the system. All right. So that's kind of the power of NetSuite. That's kind of every customer, every account has all of that access to things. But now we start talking about what's individual to certain companies. So again, NetSuite has modules that are kind of based on what you buy into the system. So if I'm buying a manufacturing SKU, I'm going to get access to things like work orders and routings and bills of materials and bills of material revisions. If I'm in a services SKU, I have access to purchase or to projects and resource allocations and things like that. So what you buy and what industry you're in drive the types of things that NetSuite's giving you access to within your system. One thing that we see a lot of in the food and beverage space is manufacturing can vary from company to company. A lot of food and beverage companies, especially startups, I'm working with an outsourced manufacturer. I don't control maybe anything but a tolling charge that I pay my outsourced manufacturer. But that tolling charge that I pay for my product drives what I'm charged from by my vendor. My vendor produces it, lets me know, hey, in the current state, they may email me and say, hey, I'm done with production on this, and now I have to go in and create a work order and build that work order in my system to show what my outsourced manufacturer did. And then they say, okay, I'm going to transfer this over to your 3PL. I'm waiting for an email from my 3PL to let me know that they received it. And now I'm creating a transfer order or an inventory transfer to move that from one location to another. And, I'm kind of reactive versus seeing all of that information waiting to be done and able to do it at a touch of a button. In NetSuite, what I have the ability to do is a single purchase order to my outsourced manufacturer. That generates my work order for me automatically and links them together. And then all I have to do is receive that purchase order, and that will do the build for me as well. Or actually, sorry, do the build, and that will do my receipt for me. So I'm going to just kind of walk through that process a little bit here and kind of show you what that looks like. So you can kind of see how easy NetSuite makes this. So within my purchase order, I just enter a purchase order, and there's a couple of things that I'm going to point out in here on the back end build that makes this easy, that kind of loops all of this together. So on here, I have a outsourced purchase order. What that does is it tells the system that there's certain information on this form that maybe is different than the other forms. So that's what I'm looking at. So I'm gonna just find my outside roasting vendor. So what I'm doing is some coffee beans that are being produced at my outside roasting vendor. So I select my vendor. That populates a bunch of information specific to my vendor for me. You'll see their shipping address gets pulled in. Their billing address is here. So my items, I'm looking at just a assembly item for roasted coffee beans. And then you'll see that's going to put in my information here. It's going to load everything up for me. I'm going to say this is at my contract manufacturing. And here's my item of my roasting charge. So I'm paying them 39 cents per unit. I'm going to do 2,000 units for $780. And you'll see it's going to create a work order and pull in my bill of materials for me. So I'm just going to add this in here and then save. I'm going to just jump over here. I have a couple of these built out. So you'll see kind of what the output of this looks like. So I build this, generated this work order here for my revision. Now, if I drill into my bill of materials revision, I'm going to show you kind of what this looks like on the inside. So this is my bill of materials for my coffee. You'll see the only thing that I own is maybe the beans that I'm sourcing from another vendor to my outsourced manufacturing, and then I pay my tolling charge. For quite a few of our customers, there actually is nothing but the tolling charge on this. And then as they grow, maybe they want to take on some costs. So maybe they think, my outsourced manufacturer is doing a great job of getting the main pieces, but maybe I want to bring in the packaging materials or the labels or something like that. I can source those cheaper than what they're telling me they're sourcing them. So you start bringing those on and adding to this bill of materials the things that you're bringing in yourself. And then as that grows, eventually maybe you're taking on that manufacturing yourself. But this tolling charge is the key. This is another charge in NetSuite, which is just basically saying it's not something we count. It's just a pure charge. I'm setting that up with my vendor, and everything goes there. Now on that vendor side, I have this outsourced manufacturing piece that says this location, my contract manufacturer outside roasting location, that is specific to this vendor for my outsourced manufacturing. So by having that in there, the system knows anything that's to that location is actually should be on this outsourced manufacturing purchase order. And then that's what links these all together. Now it generated, when I created that purchase order, the system automatically generated this work order for me. Which link that together. So here's my beans. Here's my outsourcing. It's coming from this vendor. It's linked to this PO. And here's my outsourcing charge. I am creating my items. There's 500 or 5,000 quantity being built. I've already built this, so you can kind of see the linkage of all of this. So if I come into my assembly build, it links to my work order. It's pulling up forth all of my information to build. So here's my build. Here's my component, green coffee beans. You'll see I don't see my outsource charge, my tolling charge on here because there's no inventory component to that. If I drill into my GL impact, I can actually see my inventory and stock going up in value, and then my expenses or my expense account going down. So I can see my debits and credits in real time. If I go back to my work order, I can actually see where all of this is moved through into the system as well. So this has increased my inventory. I can see how much is remaining of my components all from this screen. But now the nice thing about this is when I build this, it also loops back to my purchase order and marks this as received and then puts it into a pending bill status. So now I have a bill. I can create this bill for my $1,950. Just wait for this to generate. Pulls through all of my information. I'm going to actually move this to approved as an administrator and save this. And once this bill is saved, this whole transaction flow will be completely closed off. My PO to my contract manufacturer generated my work order. My work order was built. Now I have all of this inventory in stock at my outsourced manufacturer. If I have a 3PL that's actually doing all of my fulfillments out, I can transfer that inventory from my contract manufacturer location to my 3PL location and track that inventory and those costs going with it. NetSuite also has a really nice landed cost piece to it. So if I want to add the cost of that transfer, the freight from my contract manufacturer to my 3PL, I can include that into the cost of goods to increase the actual cost of goods sold later for these items. If I was lot tracking this item, I would actually have my lots here, so I could track that down to a lot and then trace that transaction all the way through with my lots as well. So this is now completely billed. Again, I can go into my GL impact and see where the dollars are going. You'll see it's tracing to the item itself as well. And I can see where those location hits are going. All right. So now that this is all done, I can track this all the way through. Like I said, I can see this anywhere, and I'm going to show you a little bit here on the financial side of this, as far as locations and how I can trace these dollars location by location as well. Um, but what this does is it means I'm dealing with one transaction. I make one purchase order that generates my work order. I build that work order, and that does all of the closing off on the purchase order. So rather than having to do multiple transactions, I'm really only dealing with one at a time. I need one email confirming the order from my third party outsourced manufacturer. They let me know, yep, I built this one. I do that build in NetSuite, and then that closes the loop. So rather than having to create 4 or 5 transactions, I'm really only creating one and then doing a second build to that one. That stops me from having to do 4 or 5 of these. All right. So last thing I'm going to do is talk a little bit about the financial reporting in NetSuite. This is where, to me, NetSuite really shines above a lot of other softwares, is the ease of this. So I'm going to just come down and we're going to look at my income statement. And I'm going to show you a little bit about how I can slice this up in a few ways. So I'm going to go from January. What we're going to do is we're going to look at this quarter. So all I do is I come in here and I say I'm going to look at this fiscal quarter, hit refresh, and NetSuite will pull that through. And actually this is kind of brand new. April just started. So rather than this fiscal quarter, I'm going to actually look at last fiscal quarter. And we're going to look at January through March. So I just change it to last fiscal quarter, and it quickly generates here. Now I have my subsidiaries. So I have a couple of options here. NetSuite has multi-subsidiary rollup built into the system. So I can have a consolidation subsidiary, and then I can have multiple operating subsidiaries that roll up. So in this instance, I actually have 5 different subsidiaries that are all sub-subsidiaries of this headquarters, or I can look at my consolidated view. So this is my consolidated books across all of my businesses, broken out by each account. Now this is nice in one nice consolidated view, but maybe I want to actually compare these and look at them next to each other. If I just change my column view to subsidiary, hit refresh, I'm now looking at the subsidiary breakdown of those within each account. So my 4110 revenue account at US 1 had 3.7 million, US 2 had 462,000, and that made up my 420 or 4.223 million. If I come down here and say, you know what, that's nice, but actually all I want to see is US 1. I just want to see the books for US 1 right now. That's going to clean that up for me. Now within US 1, maybe I want to actually look at my item breakdown. So NetSuite has a financial segment called class, which is kind of my item classification. So if I drill into that and break that out by column, I can now actually see revenue by each one of these breakouts here. Again, I can fully drill into this. So I'm just going to right click and open in a new tab. And now I'm looking at the detail behind that revenue, transaction by transaction within this fiscal quarter to make up my $998,000. So I can come back up here, see that 998,630, look at my detail to see all of the invoices that made those dollars happen. If I drill in, maybe this is, one item within there, every item on that invoice, but I had 998,000 in this Class D group of items. This is just a item segment. So if I go into a specific item in the system, I would actually be able to see on that item a field called class, and then I just tell the system that belongs to this item classification, and that's where it goes. So same with frozen foods. I could go into many items and see all of that broken in. Now, maybe I want to actually run this for something a little bit more complex. So I'm going to actually come in here and go back to my total. And I want to actually see this broken down by a combo of a couple of these. So I want to look at all of my frozen foods, and I want to see only frozen foods in my Boston location. I can run my financial report. Unfortunately, there's nothing in that one. But I can actually drill into whatever combination I want within this. It makes it so that I have all of this power at my fingertips. I just need to know where I want to see that information. Come back here. We'll refresh one more time and bring that back to the totals. Now, maybe I have something that I want to add to this report. Maybe just a little bit more information. If I customize this, I now have the ability to come in here and say, okay, on my columns, maybe I want to see the class listed next to them. We're going to just pop that in. So I'm going to say, let's just add that to the report rather than making it a bigger deal. So now I can embed it within those totals rather than making it columns across. I can add as much information as NetSuite wants within here, so I can really make these kind of pop and bring that analyzation into my reporting without having to generate a SQL report or export out and do a bunch of VLOOKUPs in Excel. I can actually do all of this right at my fingertips. The nice thing about NetSuite is all of these customizations are no code. So I don't have to pay, a Luxent, let's say, to generate all of these reports for me and all of these customized reports for me. I can do these myself. At Luxent, we train all of our customers on reporting when we do the implementations. It's one of the big things that we do. We want them to be able to hit the ground and actually do a lot of this reporting themselves rather than relying on us. The big thing for me at Luxent is I want to be a strategic partner and a growth partner with our customers. I don't want them to rely on us for, day in, day out support. We're happy to support and help backfill, but we want to make sure that you have some good knowledge of your system, because the stronger your knowledge is in the system, the more happy you're going to be using that system. All right. That is it for my demo. I want to make sure we have time for a couple of other things. Go back to the
You should see my screen now here,
yep,
Scott. All right.
perfect. So just a little bit to talk about the strengths of the NetSuite platform as a whole. Benefits that the suite provides to all businesses. Visibility, as you saw, I have full visibility to data. On my sales orders, I can see inventory on hand. I don't have to go looking for it to know if I can sell a product or if it's going to be on back order. It's right at my lines on my orders. If I go to an item, I can see how much I have across all items. There's full connectivity, transaction to transaction, and I can see that in related records. So I'm not always hunting and pecking, trying to find where stuff is. I should be able to go into one record and kind of trace it all the way back. Control. You saw the permissions that I have within the system. I can control who has access to what. Agility. NetSuite's going to grow with me as a company. It's going to give me the ability to add, subtract, and work within an environment that is going to grow with my business rather than me having to grow around my software. Collaboration, those tools allow me to share information. NetSuite has email capabilities, notes capabilities. I can share information on a customer or a vendor. I can actually schedule those reports to be emailed out on a scheduled basis. So I build a report. I say, hey, this is really great information. Everybody in this department should probably see this weekly. I can actually schedule that to be emailed out and waiting for them on a certain time every month or every week. And then productivity, that's where NetSuite shines the most, if you ask me. By giving all of this information, what it does, and by the ease of the use, it means maybe I don't have to grow headcount in the year to grow my business. Ideally, I can grow 30-40% and maintain the same headcount because I'm being more efficient with the things that my employees are doing. I don't need more people to do more process. I can streamline that process and maintain where I'm at. So a few things that we see that are the most helpful for the food and beverage industry. Software integration, like I said, 3PLs. NetSuite's API is very open and accommodating to work with companies. We at Luxon have linked to a ton of 3PLs with direct APIs, with SFTP connections, just depending on how real time you want that information to move. We can do that. We've worked with Shopify, WooCommerce, eBay, Amazon, integrations with all of those with pre-built connectors that allow for quick, easy setup, but you're up and running within a day with a lot of those. Tax softwares. Avalara is the core of NetSuite, but there's other options as well that will calculate your tax rates, put that sales tax on, file for you, so that takes some of that worry about ever-changing tax rates across the country. Those tax softwares can be built within NetSuite. The power of NetSuite where this comes in is NetSuite allows companies to actually build within their framework. So a lot of the third parties are actually building their tools in NetSuite. So it's not even an outside system. It's these tools are actually built in NetSuite. So it makes it so that you're not actually even leaving NetSuite to do all of these cool features. Financial reporting, quicker month-end close, often reduced to a couple of days from weeks. Financial segmentation, those segments I showed you, class, location, departments, those are the three that NetSuite comes with, but we actually have the ability to create custom segments. So I have customers that want to track things like projects to the GL. They want to track, sales channels to the GL. We can track whatever you want down to the GL level. And at that point, all of those financial slicing and dicing that I showed you, you'll be able to do for whatever it is that you track to your business. And then scalable solutions. Functionality grows with you, multiple subsidiaries. You can have multiple companies running within the same instance of NetSuite with absolutely no overlap. You can have a couple of users maybe that have access to all businesses. Often that's your accounting team, or maybe that's just the owner, but they can be running independently of each other and never run into the data from each other. They can have completely different practices, different processes. We can build all of those out individual, or they can share those. Same with chart of accounts. Those accounts can be shared. They can be individual. We have all of that control. You tell us what works for you, and we make that work. And then those modular add-ons. One thing that's not listed in here, NetSuite, you are always on the current use or the current instance of NetSuite. You don't have to pay for upgrades every couple of years or worried about being out of, support. NetSuite does 2 rollouts a year of upgrade. You'll get notes, you'll get release previews of your account and what that'll look like. So you can try turning on features and see if you like them before it actually hits your production environment. We work with all of our clients on that. You'll get a nice little summary from Luxent saying, hey, here's all the features that are coming out this release. This is what we think might cross over and might be interesting to you as a customer, or things that we know that you've been thinking of doing. We work with you on that and let you know what we think might be the best benefit of or for you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Scott.
Absolutely.
All right, Katrina, now it's over to you to give everyone kind of an idea of what this costs.
Great. Thank you, Brooke. Okay, NetSuite pricing can be a little bit confusing, so I want to walk through that quickly with you. First, you begin with your base platform, which is referred to as your product SKU. This provides you with the core functionality of the product, and it's the baseline of where your pricing begins. Next comes the users that you'll need to have who are accessing NetSuite. There are a variety of user types, and this determines what kind of access that they will have. There's a general access license, which allows you to have full access to any of the information within the system, based on whatever permissions you've assigned, as Scott showed us earlier. There's a read only and approve license. Again, for those users who don't necessarily need to transact, but they might need visibility to information or reports. Or perhaps you have, excuse me, perhaps you have a WMS user for someone in the warehouse who only needs limited access to what they're doing there. So these are just different types. There's others as well, but these are a couple different types of users that are available within NetSuite, and they are priced differently and accordingly based on how much access they're getting within NetSuite. Um, you also have the ability, as Scott was sharing, to add on modules that are not included in the base platform SKU. And, this allows you to have scalable add-on and, scale when you need it, add functionality as you need it. So, maybe you do want to have WMS warehouse management from the very beginning, and you can add that on as an additional module on top of what your other base licensing is. And then lastly, we have industry-specific Suite Success SKUs like food and beverage or retail or services. And, they're specifically designed for industries with the modules that are most commonly needed, as well as some pre-configured setup like dashboards, reports, or workflows that are designed for those industries in mind. Okay, so NetSuite licensing. Fluxent has designed some of our own package and offering for new food and beverage companies up to those who are well established but still startup and in high growth mode. The packages are designed to focus on, what you need at this moment, or immediate objectives, but also if you want to be forward thinking, growth mode. We've tried to align the modules and the licensing along with implementation and functionality that's needed at these different stages. So our starter offering is designed for companies just getting started, as the name implies. For example, we've worked with some companies who have determined that they want NetSuite from the very beginning, and they may still be in the process of formulating their products, and the products haven't quite yet hit the market. So they're, again, very early adopter, very limited in what the use of NetSuite might be. And just to point out that NetSuite is licensed as an annual contract, but we help negotiate different payment terms to support small companies maintaining that cash flow. So just laying this out from a monthly standpoint, just for easier numbers for you to think through. But in our starter offering, we have seen clients achieve licensing costs in the range of around $1,100 to $1,500 per month this would be, after your discounts with NetSuite and not list pricing. But NetSuite does provide significant discounts on the licensing, and we would help negotiate with NetSuite on your behalf to get the best possible price for you. Timing does have an impact on negotiation power, and if you are looking to move forward soon, you are in luck. I'll just mention that Oracle's year end is May 31st, so this does make a great time to purchase NetSuite and leverage more aggressive discounting. Just a note there for you. But in our Starter Plus, this would be more functionality within NetSuite. And depending on how many users you might need, we can expect to see licensing in the range of, 1,900 to maybe 2,500 per month, less users being on that lower end and more users being on that upper end. And then we have our starter premium, which would align with a slightly larger startup with more requirements and a larger team. This, again, just giving you some very general base numbers, but gives you at least an idea. And as I said, we have designed implementation packages as well with the licensing packages that would be in addition. And I'd be happy to schedule a one-on-one meeting with anybody who's interested in learning more about where your company might fall and what that pricing might look like for you. One more thing to note on our starter implementation packages, we have designed them to spread out your implementation costs over a 12-month period, again, to help reduce the strain that is associated with, high upfront costs with a ERP implementation. So just keep that in mind. We do want to try to be flexible and work with you and make this as feasible as possible. But if you would like more information, please reach out to us after the webinar to set up something, a one-on-one session with us, and I'd be happy to talk more and try to find pricing that's specific to your organization. And with that, Brooke, we can move into our question and answer.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Katrina. That was super helpful. And I know that the NetSuite pricing can be kind of a black box out there with not a lot of information that's just readily available. So thanks for breaking that down. Okay, well, let's open it up for questions and answers. I did see a couple kind of come through as we were chatting, but we wanted to kind of keep the ball rolling here. Okay. Well, Scott, this one's, well, both of these questions here are definitely for you. So how does NetSuite handle complex recipes? So including ingredient costing and yield calculations, things like that.
Yeah, so within NetSuite's assembly process, I set up my bill of materials with revisions. Those items in my components can be lot tracked. They can be serialized, whatever it is that I need to do. And then when I'm building my work orders, I have the ability to account for things like spillage, yield calculations, whatever I need to do, and then I can generate a lot for my finished good as well. So I'm able to track all of that information within a single process.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's helpful. Thanks, Scott. We have one last question here, and then we'll kind of wrap things up. Can NetSuite effectively manage perishable inventory, so including expiration dates and lot tracking?
Yes, so within my lots, I can set up my expiration dates. NetSuite can manage that, like I said, in a FIFO way. So first expiration, first out. So when I'm going in to sell or I'm going into manufacture, NetSuite will suggest that the lot number that's next to expire to make sure I'm using the ones that need to be used first.
All right. Well, thank you, Scott. Looks like that's all the questions we have for today. To kind of wrap things up here, I just wanted to give you a typical idea of what the next steps look like. So step one, attend one of our demonstrations. So you've already checked off that box. Great job. And then after this, we'd like to schedule a short discovery call to kind of understand your business and and have a better understanding of where you guys are at to kind of start the ball rolling on getting budgetary pricing over to you. And then if it makes sense, we'll schedule a demo follow-up for your team. So that's going to be more of a tailored demo showing you what NetSuite looks like with information that might be more applicable to how your business is running. And then after that, Luxent, once you guys have decided on NetSuite, Luxent will act as your advocate through the purchasing process. So that means that we will help you purchase NetSuite through Luxent and kind of help you get the right solution and modules and negotiate the best possible licensing terms and pricing. And then from there, you kind of get started on your NetSuite journey and partner with Luxent to kind of help your team support them in NetSuite and the day-to-day. So that's kind of the next steps here. Before we leave, I just wanted to thank everyone for your time, and we really appreciate you being here. Again, if you have any questions or would like to continue the conversation, please reach out to us at sales@luxent.com, and we'd be happy to help. After the webinar, there is a survey that will pop up. From there, you'll be able to request a follow-up meeting, request more information about NetSuite and Luxent, or ask any questions that you might have. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a great day.